Hello everybody, welcome back to Professor Drew's lab. You guys asked some questions, and I have some answers. Pac-Man on Twitter asks, how do you determine what Pokemon the heroes encounter? Is it just based off the area that they're in, or is it more tied to a role? The answer to that one's pretty simple. Usually I have at least one table or chart kind of in my notes based on where the players are. Sometimes I will roll for them, sometimes I'll have them roll just to kind of keep things fresh, keep it moving. It's based mostly off of a roll, but the roll is dependent on what area they're in, so you're right on both counts. So good for you. Pac-Man, you also asked us on YouTube, is there a law in the world regarding Pokemon being ordered to attack people? Are there officers that actively enforce that rule, and what would the penalty be for breaking that law? So it's not so much like an explicit law, it's kind of just a, like, I don't know, it would be the equivalent of being something against, like, the Geneva Convention. You just don't do it. It doesn't, like, it's kind of an unspoken rule that, like, even the evilest of people isn't just going to use a Pokemon to attack the trainer. It's sort of an agreed upon fact, at least for my setting. Maybe if you guys run your own Pokemon settings, you can let us know how you would handle that. But the way I look at it is, it's not a thing that the average person in the world would think to do. It's just not. It's not something they would consider. That being said, if it were to happen, it's essentially assault with, like, a deadly weapon, I guess you would call it. So there's definitely, like, jail time and fines probably on the line for that. Mega Master on YouTube asked us, are we planning on using Mega Evolutions and or Z-moves? Mega Evolution is definitely on my radar. It's something that I am looking into how to balance going forward, and there's a lot of kind of difficult things to consider with that, where it's like I would need the players to have a Pokemon that would be, I guess, like, worthy of a Mega Evolution. I don't necessarily care about the canon of the games in that sense. If somebody, like, let's say if, like, Mega Crash would be really cool to see. I don't have any plans for that as of now, but, you know, the campaign is young, so there's always more time for that. That being said, if the players ever engage with the pro battling circles, that is absolutely on the table. Some of the professional battlers that we've kind of come up with have absolutely got access to the Mega Evolution Stones. Their teams are very, very powerful. I believe you guys have encountered a handful of those professional battlers throughout the campaign so far. I would love to include some more. As for Z-moves, I don't know. So far I haven't really planned on it. I'm kind of just working on balancing all of these crazy die rolls and weird abilities and making sure that the players are having fun and feel like they're appropriately powered and paced throughout the game. And it seems kind of contrary to that point to give them a thing they can do, like, once a day that's just super boosted. 5th edition DMs will be familiar with the term of going Nova. I'm kind of trying to avoid that. Bookworm on YouTube asks, would you consider adding Pokemon that evolve via friendship? Absolutely. I really don't want to give away too many hints as to how evolution works, because we haven't yet seen it in the campaign. None of the team members have sort of evolved, as it were. I have a few ideas on how it'll work. I kind of want it to be a little bit different and unique for each Pokemon, so I really don't want to get into it too much, because I don't want to spoil anything for the players. But definitely, like, I will say friendship and cooperation between the trainer and the Pokemon absolutely have an impact regardless of how the Pokemon would evolve in the games. So it's not necessarily limited to, like, an Eevee evolving into an Espeon where you, like, they have to really like you in the daytime. it would have an impact, to be sure, but if your Pokemon doesn't like you and you're really not in sync, short of the ones that evolve via stone, there's really, like, if you don't like them and they're just sitting in a box, there's not a whole lot they're going to do for you. But yeah, to answer your question, absolutely. We would add Pokemon that evolve via friendship. I would love to throw a Pichu at the players someday. Like, that'd be really cool. I just don't know where I'd put one. Let's see, last but not least, Sartorial Sky. You're our Pokefan of the week. I'm going to show you how I would make a Treecko. So how do we build Treecko? Treecko's a grass type. He's a little baby, he's a little starter. His ability is Overgrow. It's very similar to Crash's Torrent. So if he's below a certain amount of HP, Crash gets more damage. I would say Treecko probably gets the same. But I like them to feel a little bit unique. So it might even be the case that, like, he gets maybe an extra die of damage when he's below like half or a third, however you want to slice it. I think in the games, it's if they're below a third their max HP. I don't like to get that noodly with the players. If I give something like, I don't even know, like 16 hit points, I don't want them to have to do like a whole bunch of math on the fly just to realize it and then get maybe one round where they're a little bit stronger. But that's just me. I like to give the players things that make them feel really cool and unique. But let's see. Typically in the game, when you get your Treecko, it knows Pound and Leer. I would say Pound, super easy. I'd give it a small bonus to hit, maybe like a +3. Because that's something you can very easily scale as the Treecko gets a little bit stronger and as you use it a little bit more. As for damage, Pound isn't necessarily known for shattering any records. I'd keep it to something simple, maybe a D6, maybe a D8, based on the power level that you're looking for. I might even do a little bit of trickery behind the screens. Maybe while they're fighting the Treecko, it has a D8, and then when they catch it, it goes to a D6, just to balance it down to the party. But again, that would be up to your discretion as the DM. It's always a good thing to have in the toolkit, being able to adjust things on the fly. I would like to give Treecko something like Absorb. Give it a grass-type move. Something that makes it feel a little bit different from if you have like a Sentret or like a Zigzagoon on your team and it was just doing Tackle and Treecko's just doing Pound. They're not going to feel unique or different. So if you gave Treecko something like Absorb, there's two routes you could go. You could give it a similar bonus to hit as Pound would have, so maybe another +3. Alternatively, you can make it like a Dexterity saving throw from the target, and if they fail, they take the damage. I usually like their more type-based moves, so if a grass type uses a grass type move, I like to give them maybe an extra die of damage or increment it a little bit higher. That's not to say that we're trying to make Pound useless or I've never used this move scenario. Like, you don't want Pound to just suck and you never touch it. But Absorb, I would probably say if Pound was a D6, I would give Absorb 2d6. You could go two routes with it. You could give it grass damage and give it a couple damage boosts against things that are weak to grass. You could make maybe a fire type resist it. Alternatively, if you wanted to make things a little bit simpler for you as the DM, nothing wrong with that. I would give it 2d6 maybe piercing damage to imply that maybe Treecko's kind of biting into them and absorbing some life essence in that way. And as we all know, Absorb does give you an amount of HP back based on the damage that you deal. Again, for balancing for the players, I would hate for them to roll like 2d6, maybe get 2 1s, and then they're getting like none or 1 HP. Alternatively, if they get max damage, maybe they crit or do like 12. I would hate for the other players to feel like they can't keep up with this thing. So I would give it, if it does say 2d6 damage, I would give you maybe 1d4 recovery. You could always tweak that, make it a little better. But just the White Room design scenario is a little bit tricky, so you don't ever want to make something really, really good. That's kind of a lesson you have to learn as you're going. But my advice to you would be have the damage and then have the recovery and make those 2 separate die rolls so that they're not dependent on the other. Because players love rolling dice, and it kind of sucks if one mechanic determines the other. And then let's do something weird. Let's do like a TM move that maybe Treecko wouldn't necessarily have, but Treecko doesn't have a whole lot of tools in the toolkit, so let's take a look at something like Workup. And this will give you guys a little bit of an insight as to how I handle stat boosts and stat whatever the opposite of a boost is. Blanking on the word. So Workup in the game boosts your attack and your special attack by 1 stage. So what I would do for that is maybe have it be an action to start, and then this gives you something that Treecko can work on. Maybe the more they use it, maybe it becomes a bonus action as they level up a couple times. Or maybe if the player is just like, this really isn't working, what can we do about it? Maybe make it a bonus action for a while, just see how it works. I would say take an action, increment your damage dice for the next round of combat. So if you're doing, say, we'll keep it simple, let's say pound does 1d6, you take the action to work up, the next time Treecko hits with a pound, he does a d8. And that would work for absorb, the 2d6 would become 2d8, and then your players kind of have to balance like, okay, how many rounds can I take off to do just like a whole bunch of damage, But Sartorial Sky, that is how I would make a Treecko. You guys in the comments, let me know how you would do it, if you agree or disagree with any of the decisions that I made. And then also, we want to try something a little bit different. Let us know in the comments below how you guys would make Grovile, and maybe take it further and how you would make Sceptile. Because I'm really curious what you guys do with this, because this is how I've been making all these Pokemon kind of on the fly. So just let me know what you guys would do, because I'm curious, and maybe you guys will have some really cool ideas. Maybe we can feature a couple of them next week, and then if you guys really want to see how I would make Grovile, and we'll see how we compare, or if you want to see something different, again, just let us know in the comments, on Twitter, anywhere that you can find us, a Pokemon that you guys would like to see, and I'm happy to keep making these, because I gotta make 800 some odd little Pokemons over the next however long we play this game for. But that's going to do it for this episode of Professor Drew's Lab. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.